live life comfortably.
ABC 7's on your side at WJLA.com/call for action.
Good morning, America. Winter storm emergency. A so-called bomb cyclone about to blast parts of the East Coast. 15 states from Florida to Maine on alert for severe weather. Snow slamming the South right now. Cities icing over, schools closing. And blizzard conditions causing this deadly pileup in Buffalo. The alert for your commute this morning.
Breaking news, North Korea turns the tables, reopens a key communications hotline with South Korea. What it means for the U.S. as the war of words escalates between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. Trump says overnight he has a much bigger and more powerful nuclear button than North Korea's.
Outrage growing. Parents calling for Logan Paul's YouTube account to be shut down after he posted that disturbing video, getting millions of views. Now, his apology.
I made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven.
Why hasn't YouTube pulled his account?
And giant jackpots, 2 massive lottery prizes up for grabs after no one strikes it rich on Mega Millions overnight. Combined with Powerball, now the jackpot's worth more than $850 million.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And we do say good morning, America. Perhaps winning that big jackpot will make you forget about how cold it is.
Either one of them, fine, yeah.
Either one of them. 15 states are on alert for that bitter winter blast.
Look at that storm right there. It is taking aim at the entire East Coast, causing a lot of trouble on the roads. Governor of Georgia has already declared a state of emergency, and look at that statue that froze in that state.
The snow and ice are moving north, and we have team coverage up and down the East Coast. And Ginger, you're going to start us off. Ginger, explain to us what the bomb cyclone is. Many of us have never heard about it, but you say it's rather common.
Yes, it happens almost every winter. So a bomb cyclone, you've inevitably seen that on social media, and you've gone, oh no, what's happening, this storm? And it is a very powerful storm. Hey, it's already freezing rain and snow in North Florida and Georgia, but this is what it is. You've got a coastal storm coming at you here. A lot of warm air on one side, extremely cold. I'm talking colder than we've seen this winter coming in on the back end. That temperature gradient helps to make this storm deepen rapidly. The pressure falls 24 millibars in 24 hours or more. And as that deepens, and it will, by Thursday night, it is going to bomb out, as we call it, close to New England. You will see extreme wind, certainly heavy snow in some places, and it is going to make travel nearly impossible. So we've got those warnings up and down, blizzard warnings up into Maine, but we've got to go to eastern Massachusetts, where Eva Pilgrim is this morning.
Good morning, Ginger. It is already freezing here. We are here south of Boston at what would normally be a very busy ferry terminal. It is closed down this morning. The problem, this right here, ice. That dock behind me is closed because it is frozen over, and more cold weather is headed this way. The eastern half of the country crippled by severe winter weather, blinding snow in Buffalo, grounding planes at the airport, and causing a deadly pileup on this highway. One person losing their life and another seriously injured after 22 vehicles crashed along the New York Thruway. Hundreds of cars backed up with nowhere to go, completely shutting down a portion of the highway.
You couldn't see a gosh darn thing in front of you.
25 states now under winter weather alerts. On frozen waterways like the Hudson and Chicago rivers, crews working to break up the ice by whatever means they can. This is the sound of a ferry breaking through the icy waters of Lake Superior. Sub-zero temps also freezing water mains, causing them to burst in Massachusetts, Missouri, and in Baltimore, turning the street into an ice rink. A brutal commute for those in Chicago.
I can't even describe it. It's unbearable.
An ER doctor here telling us they've seen more than a dozen cases of frostbite in just the last few days. The deep freeze heading south, cars sliding along icy highways in Houston.
The thing to remember is if you get into ice, don't jam on the brakes. You'll begin putting a lot of steering input into it.
And one of the major concerns here is a higher than normal storm surge as this storm comes in. On the backside of this, even colder temperatures. Robin?
All right, Eva. And as you alluded to, the South getting hit as well. So let's go to Victor Okendo, who's in Tallahassee, where schools are closing as a winter storm moves in there. Good morning, Victor.
That's right. Good morning, Robin. We're riding along with the Florida Highway Patrol this morning along Interstate 10. That cold rain coming down, you can probably hear it. Parts of I-10 actually shut down this morning because of the icy conditions. We've already seen a number of accidents, cars slipping all over I-10 as well. Captain Ryan Martina here with FHP, nice enough to give us a ride. Captain, when you got to the car this morning, the patrol car was frozen over?
It was.
Ever seen anything like that here in Florida?
It's very uncommon.
Very uncommon. Take a look at another very uncommon sight. This fountain completely frozen over. You can see all that ice. Here's the problem with ice here in Florida. Not exactly a state equipped to handle those types of conditions. So I'm now being told that instead of salt, they'll now be laying down sand to battle all the ice and snow accumulating here. It doesn't get more Florida than that. Combating the snow and ice with sand. Robin?
That's a way of looking at it, Victor. Thank you. I love how the officer kept his eyes on the road.
He was doing his job.
Yes.
Let's bring in Ginger. Ginger, storm is already moving. Fill us in on the track.
Oh, and you could hear it in Victor's shot there. That is actually sleet. And then he was talking about freezing rain that was glazing the cars. That happened this morning in Lake City, Florida as well. You could see more than 1/10 of an inch of ice start to accumulate. And as this storm, that developing low, starts to push north, the timing of it takes it through Florida and Georgia this morning, then South Carolina and North Carolina this afternoon and tonight. And that's why we see all those schools closed up and down throughout the southeast. It clips the mid-Atlantic. The farther east you are, the more snow and the more wind you get. So the tighter you are to this storm that is off the coast, that is where you're going to see the heaviest snow and certainly wind gusts. Guys, could go up to 70 miles per hour. Some of the places here in New England could have over a foot. Robin?
Oh my, okay, Ginger. We'll get back to you in a bit. Airlines are bracing for the major storm, offering travelers a chance to reschedule or cancel their flights now, before the worst of it hits. And our senior transportation correspondent, David Curley, is at Reagan National tracking the latest. Good morning, David.
Morning, Robin. Some of Ginger's colleagues, the forecasters at the airlines, have been watching this storm too. They know it's going to cause them problems, especially at airports that don't normally deal with these cold, icy conditions. So starting this morning at Jacksonville Airport, they start to expect some problems, and they're canceling flights there. Then as you move north, a couple of big hubs are going to be affected, Atlanta and Charlotte. So they're all watching this very closely. Already, a couple of hundred flights have been delayed today. A couple of hundred have been canceled, mostly there in the southeast. And there is concern for the airlines that their passengers are going to be affected. So they are offering waivers, Robin. This means if you have a flight to the affected area in the southeast, all the airlines are saying, we won't charge you a change fee. Now, there's some other areas that are being covered by some of the airlines. Check with your airline. If you want to stay away from the storm, you could get that change fee waived. Robin?
Good to know. All right, David, thank you.
Okay, we're going to get the latest now on the standoff between President Trump and North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. As the two leaders escalate their war of words over nuclear weapons, there are new signs this morning of possible cooperation between North and South Korea with the restoration of a hotline to reduce tensions between the two countries. Let's bring in our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz. And Martha, the president's tweet last night really sparked a huge reaction on social media.
It sure did, George. Social media lit up over this one with fear and shock, and some calling for the president's Twitter account to be shut down. The tweet came in response to Kim Jong-un saying he had a nuclear button on his desk. President Trump, in what sounds like a playground taunt about manhood, tweeting, I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works. And as we read that, a reminder, we're talking about nuclear war here with a North Korean dictator who values nothing more than his personal power. And it comes as Kim Jong-un is perfecting a nuclear-tipped missile that could reach the U.S. Of course, we also have tens of thousands of American troops in the region, George.
Yeah, that rhetoric kind of alarming. At the same time, though, you see this possible rapprochement between the North and South Koreans with the restoration of this hotline.
You know, Kim is likely trying to create a wedge between the U.S. and South Korea, but there is great relief that this communications line between the North and South is once again reopened after 2 years of silence. That line is on the border there in the so-called Truce Village. There may be in-person talks next week, which would largely center on whether North Korea would participate in the Olympics, but it is a start, and South Korean officials say this will not hurt its relationship with the U.S., although the U.S. says any talks won't be taken seriously if the North does not stop its nuclear program, George.
Yeah, Martha, in some past Olympics, North and South Korea have actually competed together.
Yes, they have, under the same flag, and I think that's what the South is certainly hoping for here.
Okay, Martha Raddatz, thanks very much. That tweet on North Korea, just one of 16 the president sent yesterday in a New Year's burst from the White House. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega is there. And Cecilia, included in that burst, there were fresh attacks on Hillary Clinton and the president's own Justice Department.
Yeah, George, not to mention a major conspiracy theory attacking his own Justice Department as a deep state working to undermine his presidency. On Hillary Clinton, he's going after her longtime aide, Huma Abedin, suggesting that she should be punished for her handling of certain government emails. Take a look at that tweet. He said, quote, jail, deep state Justice Department must finally act, also on Comey and others. Now, right here in this briefing room, I asked Sarah Sanders whether the president believes this deep state is actually a real thing and whether he believes the entire 100,000 people working in the Justice Department are part of it, George. She said to me, quote, obviously, he doesn't believe the entire Justice Department is part of it.
But he is keeping up the pressure right there. He has been unhappy with his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. Congress is back today as well. One of the big things they pushed off as they passed that tax bill was the spending bills for the whole next year. And so it creates the possibility again of a government shutdown in January.
Yeah, we're just days away from it on the 19th. Now, there's going to be a big meeting on Capitol Hill today in Speaker Paul Ryan's office. Top Republicans, top Democrats, from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Some representatives of the presidents will also be in that room. They've got 16 days to keep this government open. The DACA deal is likely to be part of that. Democrats are certainly going to try to tie a fix for these undocumented immigrants brought to this country illegally as children to that. Now, senior officials here tell me the president wants funding for a border wall as part of that. He needs Democrats to get this fix done. But, George, as you've seen, he's bashing them and back to bashing them on Twitter again. So 2018 sounding a lot like 2017.
Yeah, and Democrats not ready to go along with that wall. Cecilia Vega, thanks very much.
And, George, President Trump also facing big changes on Capitol Hill, losing a key ally. Utah Senator Orrin Hatch has announced he will retire at the end of this term. A lot of speculation Mitt Romney will run for his seat. Our senior congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, has more. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Well, this is a real setback for the president. Orrin Hatch, the longest-serving Senate Republican, is a top Trump supporter here on the Hill. But despite even personal pleas from the president, Hatch has announced he is retiring. After 41 years here, the former boxer says it's time to hang up his gloves. This now opens the door for Mitt Romney to make a possible run for the Utah seat. Romney has become an outspoken critic of the president and could be a powerful foe up here on the Hill. Now, he hasn't said yet what he plans to do next, but check this out. Overnight, he changed the locator on his Twitter account from Massachusetts, where he was once the former governor, to Utah, where he is a longtime resident. Everyone up here now reading all these Twitter tea leaves to try and figure out what Romney might do next.
I'm sure they're doing that because when he did that, people are like, what's up here? Okay, Orrin Hatch is just the latest powerful Republican to indicate that he's going to leave office. What does this mean, Mary, for the midterms?
Yeah, Robin, we're seeing a real exodus of GOP heavyweights up here. Hatch now joins Jeff Flake and Bob Corker in announcing they will not seek re-election, while over in the House, you have at least 28 Republicans who have announced plans to retire or resign. Now, many of these are lawmakers from deep red states, but this does make what is expected to be an already difficult election year for Republicans even more difficult. And remember, Republicans have already lost that key seat in Alabama. The Democrat Doug Jones is expected or will be sworn in here later today. That brings the Senate Republican margin down to just one vote, which will make their agenda likely more difficult to pass.
Does seem that way. Okay, Mary, thank you.
Yeah, those retirements, a big tea leave right there. We're going to get the latest now on the swatting incident in Kansas that led to the death of a 28-year-old father. The suspect accused of placing the hoax call is due in court this morning, and our senior national correspondent Matt Gutman has the story. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, George. We are now learning that the suspect is believed to have been behind dozens of similar swatting calls. He's even served time for swatting the KABC building I'm standing in right now. And it's believed the fatal swatting call in Kansas was triggered by a dispute by two online gamers, neither of whom had any apparent connection to their victim.
I shot him in the head and he's not breathing anymore.
This morning, Wichita police are investigating how this chilling 911 call from a man claiming to have shot his father led to the death of an innocent, unarmed man over 1,000 miles away. Thursday night, Kansas City police raced to the Wichita, Kansas address where the caller claims to be holding family members hostage.
I already poured gasoline all over the house. I might just set it on fire.
Do you have any weapons on you?
Yeah, I do.
But when police arrive, They don't find the alleged caller, Tyler Barron. He was 1,300 miles away in Los Angeles, allegedly playing a prank. But officers don't know that. So when 28-year-old Andrew Finch opens the front door, officers surround his house and order him to put his hands up. It's at this moment police say he lowered them. One officer, fearing Finch was reaching for a gun, opens fire, killing him. Investigators believe that Finch was a victim of swatting, in which a person reports false criminal activity in order to trigger a SWAT team response against an unwitting person. Even celebrities like Justin Bieber, Ashton Kutcher, and Miley Cyrus have been victims of swatting in the past, and the swatters themselves are notoriously hard to pin down.
These cases are difficult to investigate because they happen online, and these hackers oftentimes are very sophisticated about covering up their identity.
Now the mother of the innocent victim in that deadly prank is looking for answers.
My son wouldn't have heard anything he said, that they were saying. They did not give him a warning.
Now Finch's mother says she wants the police officer who pulled the trigger charged. But first, we are likely to see Barris extradited to Kansas, possibly to face charges of second-degree murder. Now, what's so disturbing, George, is that law enforcement officials say hundreds of these swatting calls are made every year.
Unbelievably irresponsible. Okay, Matt, thanks very much. We're going to switch gears now. Those lottery jackpots, they are climbing in the new year. No Mega Millions winner last night. Powerball is still out there as well. And now the two jackpots combined more than $850 million. Ariel Reshef here to break down the numbers. Let's start with the biggest ones of all. Odds against winning both prizes, 88 quadrillion.
Yeah, but you can't win if you don't play, George. So you got to play the odds, even though they're not so great. They're not in your favor. This is only the second time ever that both jackpots have been this high at the same time. So let's take a moment and dream maybe about what we would do if we won. If you took home tonight's $440 million Powerball jackpot, guys, and you choose a lump sum, you'd instantly become $278 million richer. That means you'd have more money than Jennifer Lawrence, Brad Pitt, and Leonardo DiCaprio. If you were to beat the 1 in 88 quadrillion odds that George just mentioned of winning the Powerball and Friday's Mega Millions, so the two together, you'd win a combined $539 million lump sum, and that would make you wealthier than pop royalty like Beyonce and Taylor Swift, and you'd actually be almost as rich as royalty, real royalty, Queen Elizabeth. You could buy more than 100 Lamborghinis. You could buy 150 private jets or 5,000 private islands. I think we all want our own private island with this cold weather.
Yeah.
But experts say they have some big tips if you want to go along on this. If you need to play the range of numbers, so don't go with your birthday because months only have up to 31 days in them, and you can play up to 69. There are some really big tips here. George is laughing at this, so I know.
The 88 quadrillion to 1.
Skeptics.
I didn't even know quadrillion was a number.
15 zeros, Robin. 15 zeros.
Ariel, thank you. We're going to go back to Ginger. Even colder air moving in behind the storm?
Even colder, if you can believe it or not. But you want to warm up, you go to the West Coast. Go to maybe Alaska. That's a place where this morning the temperature in Anchorage is actually warmer than it is in Jacksonville and Tallahassee, Florida. And it's been warmer because you can see that ridge that's happened on the West Coast. Well, it also drives the big, deep trough. So yes, even colder air. Wind chill advisories that go all the way to West Palm Beach, you guys, as we go into tomorrow morning. Let's get to the sunny cities now. Brought to you by PetSmart.
New puppy, new food. But there's so many choices. At PetSmart, we have the largest in-store selection of Blue Buffalo pet food, including puppy solutions, which are specifically formulated to support healthy growth and development. From grain-free to meat-rich recipes, wet food, and even puppy training treats, PetSmart and Blue Buffalo got you covered. And now when you spend $50 on Blue Buffalo puppy products at PetSmart, you'll save $10. Why shop anywhere else? PetSmart, for the love of pets.
Turning mostly cloudy, and we'll get above freezing, but only briefly today. Your high 33. All attention on this coastal storm. Winter weather advisory now southern Maryland, St. Mary's, Calvert County. Tomorrow this time, snow will be falling. And for areas down around southern Maryland, Leonardtown area, St. Mary's, there could be 1 to 2 inches of snow here. Delays and cancellations all possible. As we get past that, look for very cold air. The high Friday just 19, Saturday 18 with wind chills below 0.
Coming up, calls growing for YouTube to shut down one of their top stars, Logan Paul's account, after his disturbing post that got millions of views. How parents can restrict what their children are watching.
We started designing pop-up cards in our basement.
What's cool is, today, we have 400 people working across the globe.